Hey guys, Thomas here, aka Mustache Time, and I'm here to review Playing with Fire. And if you end up enjoying this review, then please consider joining my link in the description. That will head you over to my Patreon page. That'll be the second link in the description. Anyways, this movie features John Cena as the main protag, as he plays a man, or at least his last name is Carson. Don't recall what his first name is, and he buddies up with Jake Leguizamo and the comedian guy on his left. I forget his name. Sorry, guy. And the three children whose characters' names I have no clue what any of them are. But anyways, this movie starts off with a ride on a helicopter, and Mr. Carson / Sheena arrives on the scene. He takes out the B team, which is the two people you see on the back of the poster, as well as another bigger man called Axe. So, he heads in with his team, and they spray out a fire that is spreading in the forest. They get lifted up out of the scene, and they are celebrated, or at least the majority of the team is. Carson / Cena, just for the simplicity's sake, I think I'll just call him John Cena. I think that just makes it easier for me. So Cena takes his seat down, trying to calm things down, and he gets a call from his boss saying that he wants to retire. Cena wants the job, and these other guys that are part of their unit, I guess they're like the A squad that we saw there, were leaving to do something or other. So he ends up calling some frog lady that he's interested in. They seem to already have some pre-established chemistry, but it's like, we're not gonna trust each other until the end of the movie, then we're gonna conveniently fall in love. It's that cliche. Anyways, the team flies out. They use her water to burn out this, or try to wash away some of the fire that is burning in this house. They explain on their way that they are smoke jumpers, which I didn't know about, but I guess that's like the one thing that this movie teaches even someone like me, is like there's a distinction between firefighters and smoke jumpers. So anyways, they pull him up too soon as he sees these three kids, and he eventually picks them all up. So, him and Rogers, I think Rogers was the character on the left there. I think that was his name. Anyways, they realize as they are making their way back that when they're saying something about the parents not being around, that they must act as parental guidance until the parents arrive. So their dog comes in, and the smallest girl in the middle there is able to stop the dog. So Carson gets called, and he goes in with this attitude towards the boss, and because he mistakes it for the other guy, the Rogers guy. The gimmick with Rogers' characters is that he always seems to always pop in, almost like as if he's materializing into the scene, handing Carson or Cena a variety of things. So he gets called, and he gets told that he might get the position, so he's celebrating a little bit himself. Meanwhile, the kids find a piano, and the little girl cries. Things go out of control as the boy finds a flare gun and starts firing. And the doctor lady is also coming over. She is coming in to essentially yell at Carson for using her water. So as he's after he's done with her, the fire crew ends up watching My Little Pony. And yes, that is a theme that runs throughout the show. or movie I should say, is that they have a lot of references to My Little Pony in this movie. I want to say that there are either 4 or 5, that being of the first. Anywho, Carson wants the scientist to look after the kids, but she's like, nah. So he decides to, go to bed and wait some time. Meanwhile, the boy wants to, play the Alexa. I guess the movie's sponsored by that thing, the Alexa. I don't know. So the little girl wants Carson or Cena to do a little lullaby. And he gets told at this point that, or the elder sister tells him about, how, crying works, because he says something about, how he never cried or whatever. So he's trying to fill out his application and he's struggling too. Meanwhile, the doc is taking care of her frogs. And meanwhile, we cut back to the boy who's in the fire station area of the vehicles. He messes with one of them and then ends up scratching off white paint on it, and then even more shenanigans ensue. The girl wakes up Cena. They eventually get pancakes after dealing with the situation. And Jake's character is dealing with the little girl for the moment, or dealing with the teenage girl, I think. Meanwhile, the boy is still going all over the place, takes guilt after the fact, after they actually end up in that room. So Cena goes to the eldest sister and is trying to get everyone rallied up and all serious and stuff. However, immediately after that, the little girl needs to poop. So Cena and Rogers try to resist her power poop smell, and she starts firing a nail gun at Rogers. So Cena gets a gas mask, a whole hazmat suit, and still gets pooped on by up the arm and into the mask instantly. And the other gimmick of this movie, or at least for Cena, is for him to go shirtless. So the older sister talks to Rogers about how he was saved, and all this stuff goes on for a bit. She talks about how she was inspired to be an artist, and he's like, oh, you should keep on with it, or whatever. While she's doing that, she manages to swipe the keys, gets the little girl, gets the boy after he's hanging out with Jake's character, and the little girl's hanging out with Axe. So she takes both of them, and Cena smells smoke, and then so does eventually Axe. And when the kids go get all reunited, they run away with the older sister on a little moped thing, and then Cena catches up on bike. So he eventually catches up, and they run him over, or they run the bike over, and then they lose their vehicle as well, and they finally admit that their parents have passed away. So the older sister makes a little tent so that they can rest out there. We got another poop joke as the little sister wants to watch Cena poop. The dog eventually finds them out there. And Cena talks about how how his parents had passed away, or at least his dad did, and how that affected him. So Cena changes this date on when they get picked up by the inspector, and goes back to his application, and the little sister is like running around, and we see Jake's character cooking with the older sister. We see then the doc comes back, making Cena burn the stove, and another gimmick goes like random objects catching on fire and then them having to put out a smaller fire. So anyways, yeah. So, he talks about how the thing was on Monday, by the way, which is also the same time he told the other guy about his job. Burns the stove, goes shirtless again. Everyone watches Cena and the doctor lady interact and be all awkward and whatever. And we see Jake's character make more mistakes in his quoting because that is his entire gimmick. Up until, of course, your second MLP reference, as he makes a reference to Rainbow Dash. And then the doc answers the phone right as she was about to leave, I think. And then they're like trying to help Cena figure out how to text properly or whatever. We see that the kids fix up that piano I mentioned earlier. The doc returns, and the others leave, letting them deal with that. So the kids set up a little meal for the two of them, and the group watches some more My Little Pony. There's your third reference. And Cena starts to play them some songs. They're all fire-related songs. Later in the night, the boy wants to hear a story, so he tells them a story about a Yeti, which relates to him and his pap. After the fact, Cena talks to the doctor about his dad and, what that all meant. So, the other, the two kids, or at least I think the older sister mentions this, is like how the younger sister's having a birthday. So the crew thinks to decide to go shopping before everything goes down. They go shopping, the alarm goes off when they come back, and they celebrate. Cena puts on a MLP shirt on, which is your fourth reference. They got the gifts for the other two kids as well. And in the process of this is the first time we hear Axe laugh as the little girl got them the gifts as well. He gave the two characters, besides Cena, two little MLP helmets. Each were representative of who they were. Axe got Pinkie Pie, which caused him to explode in a great heft of laughter. Then to sing the MLP theme song, so that's 6 references to My Little Pony. I was actually off by either 1 or 2. So after that, they all played a little bit of dodgeball. And as all this MLP stuff is all over the place, the boss comes in and Cena rips up his shirt and gets a new one. The child service lady comes in at the same time. The cake goes on fire. They put it out. So the team heads out as the kids are being taken away. And Cena stops them, saying that he'll take care of them because they're still the responsible whatever he says. But before they can even get things all situated, the sister, and it took the family, the brother and the sister being that, and having them try to flee again from the inspector this time. The van that they take falls over, or nearly falls over. Cena gets to them in time once again, and the sister are helping each other, or the brother's helping the sister. Cena cries as he saves them. He picks them up. And the boss checks in with him, saying that how family makes you all responsible for the job or whatever. And Cena comes back wanting to adopt. He kisses the doc, and they prep, and we cut to a little skip scene where we prep for the courthouse, and we watch as the family does their little dance, and they go off to the court to get to deal with the whole adoption thing. And that was playing with fire. Oh boy. So, this is a family movie, and I think that they were trying to go for a younger audience, and then, they try to throw in those, jokes once in a blue moon that are, intended for an older audience, perhaps. But, I don't know. This is always a tricky subject, but, because I always have this thing about, there's two types of movies for kids, is, the one that challenges the kids and the one that's, super, super safe. And I feel like this movie is, trying to border between those two on top of trying to be we'll throw in those adult jokes in once in a blue moon. And it's trying to do these three different things. It's trying to achieve three different goals, and I think you can push for two of them, but not three. And I don't even think it completely succeeds in the other two either, at least that well. And that is again the challenge of a kids movie, and I'm gonna put it this way: a safe kids movie, because. Again, I think there are two different types of kids movie. The kids movies that are safe, and the kids movies that push kids to think a lot harder about certain subjects. So yeah, it definitely leans in a little bit harder into the safe one, but then you also have the adult jokes, so it has this weird vibe of what it's trying to be. The other issue is that this movie is about, well, not firefighters, obviously. They refer to themselves as smoke jumpers, I think was the phrase I used earlier, and the one they use in the movie. And they only do it once. And I feel like that's a huge wasted opportunity, really. And in a movie where you have a very clear sort of baseline, I think you would want to follow that a little bit stronger. And one thing is that what I will say is that, for a safe kids movie, the characters being as simple as they are works, but again, they do try to have the adult characters have their little moments too. It definitely feels a little bit wonky in that regard. And I think it could have used a little bit more of a tone shift. I think that would have helped more. I think, when you're dealing with something that involves fire, I don't know, that doesn't seem like a subject that's supposed to be safe. That is what's throwing me off, is that smoke jumping in this regard, that's a very dangerous job. It is, and, when you're talking about safe kids, material, or what they can learn, you stick to the real basics of, simple math, simple writing, simple problems, really, really basic problems, Dora the Explorer levels of safe, if you know what Dora is, and I'm sure most people do. So I think that's the main issue, is that this is a subject about fire, and fire is a very, when things are on fire and all that stuff, it's very serious, and it's a very dangerous job, and you're mixing a very dangerous job with safe kids material, and it doesn't mix well. because what I was expecting was like when he first saves the kids, which is like the only time they do it, for that moment to be a more serious moment, but even within that moment, they're trying to play it up for comedy, and it doesn't fit. They're two pieces that just don't mesh well together. And you're actually almost expecting to see at least one more of these, particularly at the end of the movie, perhaps, to show, and maybe have it like the kids, and especially like the elder sister, to like learn how to do like the safety, like how to save someone, something along those lines, to be like, you're passing it along, you're passing the knowledge to, the next generation. They don't even do that. They, for whatever reason, they decide to have the kids go over a cliff, which I don't think fits at all. Again, there's just a lot of things that don't fit. It's like, if you have like a puzzle board, like there's like pieces that just aren't placed well together. And again, speaking of like the safe content, I think My Little Pony is a bizarre choice to pick. One being that at least the current generation that they were watching, the one they were referencing, Friendship is Magic, that show's already done, which is again an oddity that they would choose to push that so hard when the series is done. That just seems really stupid. And they do it a lot. Like I said, there are 6 different references to the show, and it's already over. Probably a bad time for this movie to come out, I suppose, is just really bad timing. That it had to come out after the show is over. Anyways, even in talking of like My Little Pony, I don't feel like that age bracket again fits what they were trying to do, which is a bizarre thing to do. Because My Little Pony, I would argue, is that it's for kids, but I think it tends to lean towards pushing kids to learn certain subjects that are a little bit harder, especially in the later seasons. I wouldn't say that's not. I would say it starts off as safe for kids, like the safe as I mentioned as Dora. Like that is like safe. That is kid safe. Dora has never like gone in the crazy territory in terms of like what she does. MLP, however, I would argue, again, it does in later seasons tend to shift a little bit from time to time, depending on what episode you're talking about. So again, just a bizarre choice. Again, going back to the characters, I feel like they didn't really again, it's a blend of like, they're trying to play it safe, so they're trying to keep the characters simple. Cena's like the strict man. Roger, the guy on the left, is like the guy that just pops in, like, out of nowhere. Jake's character, the one on the right there, is like always misquoting things. Like, they keep it really, really simple. The kids, the little girl's the poop girl, I guess. Like that's the only thing. The boy, I don't even know. Like, he makes a mess twice, and that's about like the extent of what he does, except for saving his sister. And the sister's like, oh, I'm trying to keep things together, but I'm calm, but whatever. And if anything, if any character should have had the most going on, it should have been her. And I feel like they almost got there with her, but they just missed the mark by a bit. Again, I think the ending in particular wasn't necessarily the strongest ending you could have picked. So as far as a score is concerned, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10. It's a little bit all over the place. The characters are simple, but the subject matter isn't necessarily something like really basic. So yeah, I'm going to stick with 4 out of 10. And if you enjoyed this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.